The Americans have just made the first discovery of the Soviet buildup in Cuba, and it's shocking. Top secret reconnaissance by U-2 spy planes has brought back damning photographic evidence. They clearly show launch sites for medium-range ballistic nuclear missiles under construction. The Americans are stunned. On October 22nd, President John F. Kennedy makes his famous address to the nation and begins with the revelation of the missile sites.
The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere.
Kennedy then proposes a quarantine line, instead of an outright blockade, to come into effect on October 24th. Some 200 American ships travel to positions on the quarantine line, an arc stretching out 500 miles from Cuba. Meanwhile, 4 Soviet Foxtrot submarines make it into the waters off the southeast coast of the United States. The day after Kennedy's speech, a secret sound surveillance system called SOSUS begins to pick up a lot of targets.
Submarines make sounds that you can pick up at enormous distances. They don't get distorted by the sea. They find that they can put these arrays of listening devices in the ocean, and you can actually hear submarines hundreds of miles away, which is amazing.
Aircraft are dispatched for confirmation. The aircraft establish visual contact with snorkels and periscopes of Soviet subs. In October 1962, American intelligence knows the Soviet submarines pose a real threat. But there is one critical fact the Americans do not know. Just before they left port, a special weapon was added to the arsenal of the Soviet submarines.
Each of the 4 submarines had 1 nuclear torpedo.
The use of a nuclear torpedo during a naval battle would have been unprecedented.
A nuclear torpedo, even exploding near a carrier, would destroy the carrier and any ships within a few miles of the carrier.
When the White House learns that there is at least 1 or maybe 2 submarines near the quarantine line, discussions heat up. To avoid an incident, Defense Secretary McNamara proposes a protocol to bring the Soviet submarines to the surface.
We have depth charges that have such a small charge they can be dropped and they can actually hit the submarine without damaging the submarine.
Kennedy remains skeptical.
We don't want to have the first thing we attack is the Soviet submarine.
McNamara believes the threat to American ships can be reduced if the Soviet subs can be brought to the surface and escorted out of harm's way. Critically, the Americans remain unaware of the weapons on board the Soviet submarines. McNamara does not know that the greatest threat for a nuclear attack may come from the very submarines he is trying to force to the surface.